and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, in Trinidad or friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web and present good day to you. Yes, this is the Corridor Transformation, your host, Lennox. Let's get into the action one time. Of course, we have some unfinished business that we need to deal with. That is, of course, the imbecility of course, PNM opposition, let's say, members who, of course, clearly have either lost their way, are suffering from cognitive and intellectual decline, or simply put, as we know them to be, their modus operandi is that they would what? That they would do anything to get into office, including making themselves buffoons, and when they get into office, they then, of course, exhibit dictatorial or autocratic tendencies that is mind-boggling and unacceptable in Trinidad and Tobago. Whenever they are speaking, we have to ask them, particularly when they are criticizing this administration that have, of course, inherited all of their iniquities, all of their evil, all of their undone work, all of their incompetent work, and all of their self-serving work, to tell them in no uncertain what they would have done if they were in office today. And notice they studiously prevent themselves from answering those questions, or put another way, the traditional media are silent on those kinds of interrogation or inquiries. So we know. So I don't want to cast any aspersions, but all I can say, it songs as a conspiracy to get them off the hook, and then, of course, have them waltz back into office to do us evil. We will have none of it. Pleasant good night, of course, and we continue immediately. But let's say a little bit of my good friend here. Yesterday, of course, let's get right into it. Last week,
Thank
of
you,
course.
Simon, and good morning to my parliamentary colleagues and to the...
Last time, of course, we were critically examining the statements made by the former Prime Minister, ephemeral, temporary, and, of course, attracted the attention of the Parliament by saying, listen, you have to work for the rewards. How the hell you could get pension similar to Rowley or similar to Manning or similar to Kamala Prasad Bisesa when you were in office only for about 2 months or 3 months, if so long. And therefore, of course, they had to have a graduating scale, and of course he will be getting the least of the pension emanating from that arrangement, as was put legislatively to the Parliament and approved, because it is unfair. You're getting what, $87,000 a month, and you only was there for two months, if so long. And of course, I am appalled, and you should be as well, that among the prime ministers of Trinidad and Tobago, while of course very nebulous and very insignificant, and a player that would not attract the attention of even social studies students. But it's unfortunate that you have to say that this, what I consider to be invisible former prime minister, name has to be called in that, what I consider to be high category of individuals who would have, of course, occupied the highest executive office in this country. I'm talking about the office of prime minister. But that being as it may, that may be nestled in my own opinion. I trust that I put it out there so that you too can, of course, rationalize and, of course, assess that, because it's very unfortunate. But, of course, the PNM felt under the then Prime Minister Rowley, and the dominant factor in the PNM and his, of course, dictatorial propensity, he believed that he had some kind of oligarch or some kind of what I consider to be, he could pass down pass down power, pass down leadership in a party that claims to be democratic. Well, in no circumstance that could have been. And of course, the party itself jettisoned that whole idea because he wanted, of course, to sanction, to be the one to sanction. But let's go straight to the line one time before, of course, we continue to extrapolate and to examine critically the statement made by Cho Chong. I'll give a synopsis before I start him off from where he left off on the last occasion. I think it was last Thursday. But let's go straight to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Let me make sure that everything is in place here. Just now, let me just, oh boy, oh boy. All right, I'm seeing that there's some issue here. All right, let me see. All right, so we have this. That is up and running. Oh boy. All right, so call back. Let me just make the necessary adjustments. Call back and I will make the necessary adjustments. But in the meantime, let's go straight, of course. I was making the point that, of course, on the last occasion, when George Young took the podium here on the corridor transformation, he was attempting, of course, to make heavy weather of several issues. Let's just do it in a preliminary. I'll pause, and of course, from time to time, I will make some interjection. But listen to him as he started off.
The wider viewing public of Trinidad and Tobago, and as well to our friends.
Oh yes, let me just. All right, let me just pause him for a cause. Just a minute. Let me pause him for a cause. Where is that? All right.
Commitments in my life outside of politics.
Hello.
All right, let me make
Good
sure.
night,
Right.
Lennox.
Are you hearing me now? Are you hearing me
This morning,
now?
there a
Are
couple
you
topics
hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
As we come here,
Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Hello.
Ah, boy, oh boy, what's happening tonight, boy? Are you hearing me? All right, let me see.
Hello.
All right, just a minute. Are you hearing me?
I'm not hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I am hearing you, but you are not hearing me. Let me make sure. Talk. I wonder why that is happening. People, of course, we seem to have a technical issue this night, but let's continue.
once again, to really to save the population and to provide the truth and to provide the population with facts that we challenge those on the other side, whether it be the Prime Minister, whether it be the ministers, whether it be the chairman of boards, whether it be the officers who are assigned with the responsibility on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago to manage our affairs, to contradict with facts, and as the young people love to say, receipts. Bring your receipts, because you will note that they are never able to bring receipts to contradict the truth that we in the People's National Movement continue to espouse on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I'll start first of all this morning with what last week was described by Kamala Prasad Bisesa as the crown jewel of Trinidad and Tobago. That is the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago that is owned by us, the citizens and the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. Because last week, we had the Prime Minister go in no other place than the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago and mislead the population with respect to NGC. The first thing is, anybody who understands finances will know that unaudited accounts have a lot of salt to take with it. Not a pinch, a bag of salt. To come to the Parliament to make an announcement about NGC on the basis of unaudited accounts is not only frightening, it is dangerous. Questions that we ask are, where are audited accounts? Another question that arises is it that management, so what they basically
Are you hearing me?
they have put together these accounts?
You hearing me?
Unaudited accounts.
Are you hearing me?
The auditor takes accounts produced by the
You hearing me right? Yes.
No.
and it looks
No.
at it and it does an independent analysis to say whether they agree with it or not. If they don't agree, they tell the management, we don't agree with this, change it. Otherwise, we are going to qualify your accounts. So it is very dishonest to come prematurely with unaudited accounts. But you see, that is done for a reason, to mislead the population and to provide, a smoke screen, as this government constantly does. Questions. Did the management reverse impairments to come up with this profit? Impairments meaning that if accountants, they have certain rules and regulations that they must abide by. That if you see a disaster going to happen, you must provide for it.
No, I don't hear you.
And that has been happening in the past. There have been impairments put on NGC's accounts. Did the management reverse these impairments to make it appear as though there is profitability? That's the first question. The second is, where are the audited accounts? The third is...
Yes, people, it seems as though we're having a little problem with the phone tonight. So I may have to, of course, you revert to the old reliable. I'll have to resort to the old reliable. But that being as it may, I just said I will play you that and then we'll fast forward, because what he said there is that, listen, the announcement made by the Prime Minister of the 3 billion NGC windfall, of course, he was studious not to mention the fact that, and we did it, of course, on this program, and we have a duty so to do, to say when they were there, they, of course, they had a loss twice in a cash cow that was supposed to be, it was supposed to be impossible for them to lose, but they lose under the PNM. And of course, not just there, they lost as well under some premium assets that would have been coalesced or would have been amalgamated in what is called the national investment fund. You know, all of CLICO's prized companies and of course some others were put in that basket so that people can invest, buy shares and so on. And guess what? That too did not realize a profit under the PNM. So they seem to have this proclivity, this propensity, this predilection for destruction one way or another. And it has to do with very simple principles, and that is to say mismanagement, recklessness. And of course, in spite of all of that overwhelming evidence, they seem to think that they did well. So he believes he has the authority, because of course, as he mentioned, thanking of course his constituents. Well, I say to them, you have made a fatalistic mistake in putting, of course, that kind of individual. Best you'd vote for Philip Alexander. Best you'd vote for him, because you saw what he was able to do in the position that he holds now. Not a major one, a minister in the Ministry of Housing, but as soon as I called, he was able to respond to the people's sewer issue, public health potential, right on Nelson Street there. It doesn't matter where. And he responded with truckloads of WASA and, of course, maintenance persons from the agency itself. And that matter is now being taken care of after over 10 years. After over 10 years. He has been in office for more than 10 years. This fella called Stuart Young, with, of course, his colleagues from Port of Spain South are talking about the ever absent Scotland. But they will come to you and look for ingratiation, look to attract your sympathy. There should be no sympathy for people who said that if you would have voted for them, they would have delivered a certain level of, should I say, service that they did not deliver. And now, of course, out of office, attempting to get back into office to continue that, what I consider to be decadence and mismanagement and incompetence, pretending somehow to be some kind of political and, of course, service-oriented guru. I said we must jettison them and get rid of them. Lucky that Philip Alexander is not now the representative for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. That is the constituency that he is asking the constituents to, or bringing greetings to them. YC is there and thanking them for the opportunities that he got, that they gave him long time ago and never delivered in a very fundamental way. But let's go to the line. Sorry, let's go back to him and see if we can pick up from where he left off. But as I said, in that scenario, he was castigating the Prime Minister for presenting that windfall of NGC and stating how the money will be distributed by way of dividend. But he is saying that somehow that money is not so. And then eventually laying claim that it's because of the PNM's policy that money came. Which one it is? Which one is it? That's why I could say with confidence, having regard, of course, to the ball-by-ball approach that I adopted last time and will continue tonight. Let's hear from where he left off on the last occasion. I think I gave you a synopsis as to what he was talking about originally, and of course, coming from his mouth, the essence of the issue. Let's go further.
Finally points out the additional shutting down of plants. People are not understanding, we are not appreciating the shutdown of Nutria and how significant it is. And that is all driven by the shallow short-sightedness of, well, if I can move the molecules of gas that I would normally give to Nutrien and normally give to the plants on Point Lisas and put it in the LNG equation that I've just explained to Trinidad and Tobago, I'll make more money. But you are destroying Point Lisas today.
No. How more how again could we describe this fella? He has sat at the highest levels of the previous PNM administration. He was considered to be the Gary Sobers, and that level of ignoramus, that level of ignorance, he has just displayed there as if he wasn't there. We know during the 10 years of the PNM, 11 companies left the Point Lisas. They almost emptied Point Lisas. The most devastating of them is when they first came into office and we had a steel mill, a steel producing company at Point Lisas. And what they did, they twiddled and fiddled and it left and we no longer have it. But let's go back to the lines and see if we can remedy this situation.
Hello.
Are you hearing me now?
Lennox.
Yeah. Talk.
Are you hearing me?
Talk. Are you hearing me now?
Right.
Okay. Finally. All right. Okay.
Finally get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was hearing you while saying you talk, and because the show has to go on. But go ahead.
Right. He's the Gary Sobers when Sobers retired, you know.
Well, he was only the sob, not the buzz at all. He was no buzz at all. Yeah, but go ahead.
Let us talk about this municipal station storming.
Yes.
You know, nobody are asking what is the mayor of that PNM corporation name? Primus? It's Primus?
But I know. And I really, only because I'm in the business of knowing that I must find out or acknowledge. But go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, he has to do his own investigation too. That is under his purview.
That's right.
So everybody trying to find out from Rivera and PTPS, but he is in charge of that organization. He has to do an independent
What's the name of the mayor of San Fernando?
Right? And likewise, they should trigger all the rest of the corporation to do an audit of their ammunition, etc.
It looks like you've got a grant file access notification.
and more importantly, to see if any of these guns and ammunition stored at these facilities, if they were ever used for any nefarious act. You
Yes.
remember? You remember the PNM went after GG for an audit of FUL holders.
Yes.
They didn't do no audit of these money. We only now know in the municipal police.
Yeah, and it seems as though they have a healthy cache of arms and ammunition.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah. That number is baffling to me.
All right.
They have so much people in so much municipal officers there to have such a large.
Right. And that is where the gaps and the weaknesses is in the whole system. Let me get to my theory.
Yeah.
And I know you like to put a conspiracy before it, but listen to my theory. Two statements were made by our beloved Prime Minister when she said, don't be surprised if government officials in CARICOM, and by extension, so-called prominent people, named are caught up in all of these gun trafficking, human trafficking, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
No. I hear Mava say we should get external help. I want to tell Mava 3 instances where we had external help and nothing comes out of it. You remember we brought in external people, you had Spear and Gibbs,
Yes.
and the second division police service gave him pressure, no support, and he had to go.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the big belly police they bring from Barbados and from the UK retired to look
Yeah,
after the PSS?
yeah.
What happened with that? Nothing. But the most critical one, the English people, SOCA, as the Attorney General said, gave us information that a former government minister in cahoots with the financer of the 7 gangs, and they sit on it and the police didn't investigate. So what that tells you, his utterances, Mava, is flawed. We have to get our police people, they are capable ones, to fix our problem and restructure and reconfigure the TTPS. Now, my theory is this, and it is exactly what the intelligence from our Attorney General saying. The gangs are coalescing to do untoward activities. First of all, red flag should have been raised when, remember at Hyatt, there was a piracy business,
Uh-huh.
the stormer boat.
Yeah.
That is a red flag. These people were planning what they did and how they would have gotten their guns moved from there down to where it finally went. That is to see if our security apparatus is functioning. Because this municipal police station was next to the warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Putting it on a boat and moving out would have been an easy thing. Eventually they used cars. Now, let us see high government official associated with gas. You remember the fat lady from Port of Spain South?
Yeah. Marlene McDonald, yeah. The late
Right.
Marlene McDonald, yes.
You call it the best Port of Spain South could offer. That gang has gone to the great beyond.
Yes.
Yeah, you know that gang leader had 17 children?
Yeah.
10
I'm
of
very
them.
familiar. I mean, I'm from Lavender, so those things would come to mind.
He
knowledge
had 10
automatically.
He had 10 boys, a football team.
Yeah.
He named all of them after Brazilian footballers.
Frankly, with a face only a mother would love, but money speaks volumes, I suppose. Go ahead. If you can
Because
pay
the
for
police part knew their whole resemble him, eh? But let me get to my point.
things. Go ahead.
Your 10 son, the fruits of the tree doesn't, the fruit doesn't go far from the tree, right?
Right.
4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, one of the sons were killed. We don't know what was the reason. Two of
Yeah.
them somewhere in Laramine.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I mean, they said it was innocent, but there's
All right.
nothing innocent in the context of Trinidad and Tobago these days. There's always some nexus.
Right.
But go ahead.
The other thing is, I want a total investigation. You see that for skill was that a decoy to pull the police from looking where these guns was going, so that it will have been easily moved. So that I believe that was a decoy, a deflection from the reading. I believe it is gang violence. They acting up, and I believe our police now has to do continue to do cleansing. We have to move the Police Service Commission and move some of the executives. I believe we will win this war. It will get worse, but it will get better within the next 6 or 8 months. Because
right.
I'm convinced Guevara understand and you have to look at this modus operandi. There are certain people he's not moving with again. You have to see who is close to him now. So he has a selected team to do what he wants to do.
Right.
And it appears to me to be an inside job. It appears to be politically connected, because every time a certain government is out of office, everything starts to happen all over the place. The Mr. Big, he's clapping back. He wants people to think. There was a mass shooting in Barbados today. 3 on a beach. A drive-by shooting, and 3 of them.
Okay.
So that tells you the whole of the CARICOM cabal wasn't interested in closing their borders. They were interested in deflecting the whole of CARICOM to go and do a lawsuit in America. Whereas if they were really serious about protecting crime and suppressing what is happening and closing the border, their focus would have been elsewhere. Go on, I just throw those points.
Yes, man. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Of course, just to give an update as to what has happened on that particular matter, the killing of the police officer, the autopsy has revealed that she was blood force trauma, and I think there's another cause of death. But I want to say that it appears that rape or sexual activities have been eliminated. So it's not that. And of course, the Commissioner of Police did say that the initial presence of blood, because remember one of the witnesses said that it was a trail of blood that they saw, I think might have been one of her colleagues, that led to a particular area where the body was found. But it was thought that it was a bullet, but it was not. It was some instrument that caused that particular wound, so to speak, right? So that has been done, and of course, a substantial amount of the items that were stolen from the strong room, so to speak, was also recovered, both bullets and ammunition. Not all, but that is the latest in terms of the police investigation. There are at least 4 persons were in custody. I say were because 2 of them were released, and I think there's another 2 or 3 that is still in custody. Well, they like to say technically assisting, of course, the police, when in fact they most likely would be suspects. That is how the police will pronounce it if they don't have a definite charge to lay, but and of course describing in that way the preliminary or the investigation that is taking place, particularly when they have, of course, persons in custody. So I thought I should update you one time, as the caller rightfully said, because it is a current situation. Incidentally, I am very appalled and very concerned as to the amount of murders that would have, well, in fact, that drive-by shooting in Mova, near the walkover in Mova, it's very, very unfortunate that has taken place. and I want to see that there is a need for more vigilance on the part of everybody in the country, having regard to the volatility that seem and the fear that is now, of course, emanating from places that you would not normally expect, like a police post, even though, of course, it's part of the municipal police, let's say, apparatus. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Smith.
Yes, man.
Yes, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. The thing what causing all these things in people's life is people belief.
Yeah.
That you believe that if you do these things, that you'll get away with it. Because if them fellas them didn't believe they will get away with that, they wasn't going to do it. Now they will realize that they get catch, right? But they already have done it. And when you hear people talking about these things that happen, and you listen to the things that they say, you will know that these people is even worse than the people who have done that. I have listened to Marvin Gonzalez not too long ago, where he had some interview on the Morning Brew with Jason Williams. And to listen to what Marvin Gonzalez and them saying, right, about this. Yeah.
Go ahead. I silence my mic to talk to somebody in studio. So you go ahead.
Yeah.
I know it's in the whole moving. Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying about this incident and trying to make it into a political thing. These fellas and them have wicked, wicked thoughts. Them air on nothing about the citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. All these guys and them on is how to take this, to put it to win an election. Them guys are studying what happened with the policewoman if it's really bad. Them only on Kamala case, right? And you have to be thinking wicked for incident to take place like this, and you're not really on that, what took place, you're more on criticizing to see if you could make political inroads. You can't be a good person. Marvin Gonzalez and them is really wicked, wicked, wicked people, Mr. Smith. Because to use people's pain and suffering to try to say, well, it's Kamala Bissessa leadership. I didn't know Kamala Bissessa just pick up gun and hang it on his side like a Westerner and go out there to find criminal when they do wrong. And even when they finish talk, what the commissioner of police come and say now is pretty different to what them was saying this morning on the Morning Brew, right? I don't understand these people and why Jason Williams and them have to always take Marvin Gonzalez or this one, Mr. Harrier, to come on and talk on this program. These fellas and them is too one-sided. You could take a little people who have a little more, I wouldn't say biasness, but towards something, but a little kind of way that they will think neutral then. You can't take these people and them because these people them only want to bring down and throw Trinidad in the gutter. They may want no upliftment for this country, right? I'm sorry to even say that, boy. I hate to say things like that, but I just have to say, good night, Mr. Smith. When I talk to you again on the ground report, I'll be giving you all a comprehensive report on the achievement between 2010 and 2015. I like to come with evidence when I'm saying something. Thank you, sir.
As you have done tonight, because I share the view as well, my friend, that the opposition is up to no good, but there are other variables or factors that will cause them to be in the public space and in the public face as well, and that is they themselves are so inclined and don't be surprised that they would bombard and, of course, engage in, for want of a better term, harassment of journalists, etc., in order for them to give the view. Not that the journalists are unaware of what they would come and say, but because they are journalists and because they are being bombarded and because they use the office that they hold in order to manipulate these persons. So people like us now must always be on the alert to counter the nonsense that they would spew from time to time for narrow and, of course, self-serving political interests. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and to all the listeners shared alive all around the world. And east, west, north, and south, and all in sundry. Please share a little dollar. Pass by and report a little dollar, please. It go a long way. So, Uncle Lennox, you see all the smoke screen the PNM doing? I want to tell you, I just drink rum, I just fall down, I just sleep underneath rum shop, and I just sleep in the middle of the road. You have struck this push money side. But I wanted to know how vigilant I is to know. Stuart Young say that under the damn government with Rowley, they negotiate a better price in the European and the other market and them. $19 US. 19. And what the people of until who never vote anybody else beside the PNM to understand that kind of mafia lie that there was hoodwink. Right? That's why the last representative went to England to open a bank account on a old man name and not a young boy name. Right? To push money, to hide it and suffer all up on the hill. And Uncle Lennox now come in, fighting tooth and nail, biting the toenail, trying to make a better amends, to make all it comfortable, unite all the amongst all their own self, right? To live happy in unity and to have a life more than 25 years. Now in Lavantil, when you reach 25 years as a young man from birth, you reach a golden age, you know. All that pitch all itself. The PNM is not good for you. Back to the talk now. So if you get $19, right? And if you get $19, tell me, right? On 1 million BTU, how much money you collect? Eh? But these fellas and them, they're making mischief, length and breadth. When they ask for the Zozo, that they could go without telling criminals they're coming without a warrant, they want them to notify. The PNM is the supporters of that criminal activity. They bring a set of people in this country. Now we have lobbyists asking for them to get driver's license, to get them citizenship. Enough is enough. Eh? Then the European CPEP workers are saying it again early in this program. They can't get work. But then, you see the Spanish and them, Rowley give them $22.50 increase. And them can work and mind themselves, send money to Venezuela and live and pay a rent here. Eh? But the Trinidadians who voted for the PNM suffering. But when they was getting $600 a fortnight and property tax, right? And then they didn't get it messed because they had a food card. And the food going up because of the world economic coming out of a pandemic, they say. Eh? Stuart was just put wicked all here while they're running away. No, the last caller asks, right? How they making mischief to get into power? Is the dragon gas and humanity that money they're saying? That was I want Stuart to tell us tonight. I want to ask Stuart Young, I am a taxpayer. And I must know the facts of where my money and how the revenue is coming. Because if the president of the media association could ask my political leader and say that he wants to know the rights because he's entitled, Stuart ain't entitled. Because here what's going on. Mark Lukwan, when I went to set a deal, I want to know which was the bidding and what procurement part it went through. The upgrade of the LNG train 1. I want to know how much procurement and where it went through to get that going. And I want to know the $2 billion loss in NGC, and then come back with a 1 point something billion loss on the book. I want to know how the loss come about. I want to know, Stuart Young, right, that when you sign them deal and them for Mark Lukwan in Nikon industry, what is the benefit for the country? Then you boast that you get the best gas price. Why it is when the $28 million US for Burton fee in Point Isas, why they paying it? Why they question it and jump it up like headless chicken and they catch the power? Yeah? You say, Stuart Young, on an interview with CNN, that we have a windfall and the people benefit. Which part the people benefit of it? You went in Amsterdam and Rowley went in Proman office. Where is the profit? While all the hoodwinking people on one side, where is the profit of the money you talk about? I asking you, are you saying that they make money and all it was better? Then you say that the UNC buy WGL and pay asset and mischief and all that had to cover the debt. Yeah? But how it is, TNTech owing NGC $5 billion. So with that money from TNTech, what the $5 billion for the 10 years was supposed to go to NGC. Yeah? Where the money gone, Stuart Young? You only feel I'm asking you the question, you know, Stuarty. Because that $5 billion supposed to be on the books of NGC, you know, and that is a loss. So plus, that's $8 billion, you know, the owing. Eh? So, Stuarty, what procurement you went through for the little merchant bank to get so big? What is the RVO or they use for foster wife and daughter them to cut all them grass? Camille, where we here now? And then Penny, I understand you, and Marvin, where we hear from 3 million, how it reached up to the 6 million, right? All they borrow a set of money. And you know what I asked tonight, Uncle Lennox? In TSTT, it had a chairman, some liars, buy Amplia, little Amplia, then give him half a TSTT after and disappear. And what procurement was to dissipate that asset? And what was the bidding wrong? And Stuarty, it has some farm out operators down in South here. Just as you come to the end of the highway from San Fernando, and you'll see that's on the right-hand side, they're going down to Point on the highway. That big conglomerate in the energy sector. How do we win all the bids are heritage and oil wells, and them is the only one could transfer lease on other name and other contractors who are lease. And then let me hear about your boy who like Rowlina. He love him mud and hog love mud. Let me hear now. What is the deal all they cut and how our procurement all they do? And when all they was building Balize house, them green and red truck, for Uncle Lennox Sade. Tell me how when you receipt there, all it was asked. What kind of money was building Balize house? All they answer it yet. But all they want to come now in a meeting in Diego Martin to say that landlord tax, it's harsh, but all here under the Revenue Authority give a director the opportunity to go into your finances in the bank, boy. To go into the bank. Now all I want to say that the Inland Revenue could come for your private information. Which one? That is by law. It's still protected. But all you want, you could go and get access to your cash in the bank. and then you can make it public if you want and say, and put it before the article to actually explain your wealth, or is a legit businessman. Study, you could explain all the wealth through procurement and misbehavior in public office. So, Uncle Lennox, tell Stuart Young, because you live it right up your day, right? To make up your mind and stop trying to mislead the people, especially the PNM supporters, and put them back in slavery. Because 10 years, they're admitting it now, they lost touch with the ground. They never support the supporters and them. They tell them they're greedy, they're double dipping. They take away the food card. Only a certain few would get the food card. People outside the country was getting contract, getting better privilege on board. And these same people who jump it up and ball it, yeah! When we tell them, we don't be government, right? That's to make them look good, or let's suffer them. Shorty, so one thing before I go. You know your Parenco is your pet project, right? Let me hear now, how they all of a sudden, they get all that oil and all that gas, and how it is the beach field with Touchstone, it's finally coming to fruition, boy. You pressure them again not to get on the license. Uncle Lennox, you want to tell us some more about the energy sector?
No, well, of course, that's up to you. You see, you notice I've gone almost definitely silent. All right, okay, he has gone. But of course, it is only on this program you have the opportunity, of course, to express your knowledge, because that is what this is all about, knowledge. And once you are making,
good night. Good night.
Good night.
You are alive?
Yes, man. How are you going? Yeah, live here, live on the corridor transformation.
Go say for me about Lennox.
Yeah, tell me.
I find something wrong with that program what happened on morning day now. All I got to report that because everybody at the point of view and the concern thing in the Mikey K is the man in charge of that. He trying to silence people and them is.
No, listen. Let me explain, because now that I have the chance and I could talk to you, and you have no restrictions on this one. The management, nothing to do with Mikey. Management have laid down the rules, and it would, in a sense, jeopardize our pocket, including mine. That's here what I go do. I go read the letter. Maybe tomorrow I'll read the letter that was sent, so you'll understand why it is we had to take.
Who's that part in charge of management? Mikey King and Mikey King that part in charge of management.
Well, he is the chairman. But
what
a decision was made.
I never cuss. I never use obscene language. I never think in it. When I was camping for the last night at Ivory Station, I was using F word raw.
Yeah, but
I might be sarcastic in my kind of way.
There may be some issues that you may have raised. Now I'm not privy as to what are the details, but there may have been some issues that would have been raised that maybe rub the wrong side of certain powerful people, and so of course they bring down the sledgehammer. That's all I'm saying. Right? I will read the letter for you tomorrow.
They're not powerful more than God. Them victimizing me and my two children. Yeah. I sweat blood. When I'm at home, I'm angry, don't go in the ghetto. So that would have gone with them. Who the person victimizing?
Yeah. But
Lennox,
so you understand.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
I could
so
cause where that victimization coming from, you know.
Yeah.
Because you have nothing to lose, you know, Lennox.
Yeah.
I've been through hell and back, you know. But I go by media, I go all over the place, they're trying to victimize me, because I dare and come back alive. I have two children to see about.
Yeah.
So I just look to and listen. I know where you're coming from, you know.
Yeah, right, good. I hope you know that. So we had no choice, because remember, our position has been that once your language is palatable, once it's decent, we have no difficulty from the point of view of where you stand. But as I said that, when we came here, we got an email stating that, and it will have consequences.
Lennox, we are some thin-skinned politicians now, boy.
Yeah, that is. that is
The
one of the
red thin
conclusions.
skin boy.
Yeah.
I look for listen.
All right, I have somebody else coming in. All right, thanks. Yeah, all right, partners. So calling caller, the caller that is on the handset, call back now. You know, I had someone engaged, and we don't have a call waiting system, so to say whether you could wait, you could hold on. So call back, and we'll accommodate your call. All right. People have different views, and I am saying that if you have a different view, people ought not to be thin-skinned or anything like that. But as I explained, I'm going to read the letter tomorrow. So my good friend KFC has an appreciation as to the dilemma we were placed in, and we had to adhere to instructions. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night.
Yes.
Yeah, this is San Fernando.
Yes, San Fernando. Go ahead.
Wasn't it Rowley who was caught with that same Hubs agreement thing with the gas?
The what? Repeat that. I didn't hear you.
Wasn't it Rowley who was first caught with that Hubs agreement thing that Stuart Young was talking about?
Yeah, they saw the situation and decided, well, listen, they're going to spread their wings, so to speak, and attach the products or the energy products produced here for export to other markets that are dominated. So instead of West Texas and Henry Hub and those traditional ones, they go to Europe and they go to, of course, Asia and so on. Again, which, of course, is really an administrative thing. You don't need to be a brain to know that that is what you have to do if you're getting less for your product. You go on a market that, will, of course, will give you the maximum. Even though, of course, there may be an additional cost because transportation, for example, I'm sure that they would have taken that into consideration and say, well, listen, it's worth it in spite of the distance as far as transportation is concerned. Go ahead.
No, but Rowley was actually caught in terms of the profit and loss in the thing, not so? Because when you're running a business, if you have one side of your books is profit and the other side is loss. Whatever you spend, you know, you put it on one side, whatever you spend, and on the other side you put whatever profit
so it
or loss.
balance off, it balance,
Yeah.
Because you're looking at balance
Well, Rowley was caught in that same situation with that Henry and Hubs thing. Henry and Hubs, because
one of the now that you're talking, one of the issues clearly that they would have engaged in one is because they realized that they made a fatalistic mistake in terms of closing down Petrotrin in the way that they did and the oil refinery.
All of that.
Yeah, and secondly, of course, they could use that as an argument to say, well, look, we did that, but trying to make you believe that they did nothing wrong with respect to the oil refinery, when in fact, Imsbert did in fact make a statement saying that in spite of the argument made by Rowley that they were losing $7 to $8 on a barrel when they would have imported over 100,000 barrels, the oil refinery was a net, let me repeat, a net earner, not a gross owner, because you have to, for you to get a net, you have to have a gross first. But the net earner, the final amount was a net earner of foreign exchange, and whether we liked it or not, it would have made money, just as NGC. The problem here is that the PNM was in government, and therefore they seem to have this plight of course, running things into the ground. Go ahead.
But my point is this, right? Rowley was caught before the election on that scale. These fellas have belly.
Yeah. The boldface. Boldface. I mean, and because somehow they believe that Trinidad and Tobago belong to them. You know, I am satisfied that is the madness that seems to be very pervasive in the PNM. That no matter what they do, they could run the country into the ground. They expect forgiveness later down the road, in spite of the reality that the forgiveness track seem to have been blurred and blunt and has reached its terminus. But they may know that yet until the next election. But go ahead.
But why I say that for something, if Rowley was caught in that position before the election, A whole year and something passed now. And Stuart Young come back with that same nonsense.
Yeah, that's what they will do. Listen, with respect to Point Lisas, now remember I said earlier that Point Lisas was almost emptied in terms of the inability to provide gas, and therefore the operations not profitable. So people decide to leave, including of course the steel mill. But listen to Stuart Young in that same press conference. You know what he said about that? He said, well, them leave because they were old companies. the equipment in other words became obsolete. That's what that man said. I mean, come on.
I mean, and I can't understand them. I can't understand them as yet, because you know, even with how they call the other one, the Brown, which Mariano.
Apron, sorry, I mean Apron, Amy Brown, the former foreign minister. It had Mariano as well, but you have Apron, I mean Amy Brown. Which one?
Right, but the Mariano Brown.
Mariano, okay, right. That's the economist, right? Okay, yeah.
He is a big economist. Before the election, he was saying that you know, neither the UNC nor the PNM could bring back the economy of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
Right? That is what he was saying. And now a year passed, and we're seeing, you know, bit by bit as we go along, it will pick up.
Mm-hmm. Right? And mind you, they will tell you that because of the war in Ukraine, even though they had the same benefit and the same opportunity to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago differently, but they did it their way and run the thing into the ground. They will also talk about, of course, higher gas and oil prices with respect, of course, to the situation in the Middle East. And, of course, it is the argument of the government, however, to say, listen, in spite of that, because we don't have the oil refinery, it means, therefore, we have to purchase the higher price as well. So even though on the one hand, price of a barrel of oil may increase double, and we'll get a windfall from that, you have to be careful to balance it off with the higher price of having to import when there would have been no need so to do, oil, especially during COVID, but now as well, if you had the oil refinery and therefore you wouldn't be running into that kind of difficulty. They caused it. The PNM.
They caused it. Yeah. So, you know, so I just heard a caller was saying that he just hate to say certain things, but don't hate to say it as it is. You understand? That's my view.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm saying it as it is, and if you don't understand it, I will say it again for you to understand it. Right? If I don't understand something, tell me it again. So I could understand you. You know, it makes sense.
Once you have the humility to say, well, boss or whosoever it is, I don't understand. Could you repeat?
Yeah.
And even though you think that I am a slow learner, that is irrelevant, because the benefit that I will derive from eventually knowing what you know, I think is immeasurable. Yeah. Cannot be valued. Yeah.
So I just like to say it as it is.
Yeah.
Right? You understand? This is my this is the way I mean my parents taught me it that way. So you're talking to them, talk to me. You know, don't come with no lies and this kind of. My mom, she would always come. Listen, talk to me, tell me what take place, what happened, you know, and let us sit down together and solve whatever problems that we may have.
Yeah,
but
when you have a group of people like the PNM is, where there have been lying and deception and innuendos and, of course, total gaslighting and hoodwinking a way of life, you have a difficulty, because every single thing these fellas say, he comes there right now, come in and saying, well, listen, NGC made a huge profit, announced by the Prime Minister. He wants to denounce that in the beginning, stating that it may not necessarily be so, because you have to take care of other expenditure that may drastically reduce that. But on the other hand, he then said, well, it's because of what they did. that same prophet, which he earlier castigated and denounced, he said, well, listen, it's because of we. You get that? Which one it is. You see, and when that happens on a regular basis, when there is a sufficiency of because human beings are really creatures of habit. And when that habit manifests itself over and over and over, their credibility and of course the nonsense, because before they take the podium, before they take the mic, you say, here they go again. Listen. That's how they are coming across. Listen, lies again. You know, and it's so unfortunate because they have a contribution to make, but do so with a sense of honesty, a sense of understanding that people would like genuine information so that they can make decisions, especially if it is in a tough time. But go ahead.
But this is my contribution tonight. So
okay,
you know.
Thanks very much for that intervention.
All right. Okay.
Yes. Right, my friend.
Yeah.
So I think we can now go back to, of course, Stuart Young and let him continue with his presentation. Now that we have almost, I'm sure we have not ended it, but certainly we have been addressed by a number of callers, very, very, very knowledgeable indeed. And that is why I keep them so long, because I think I must not appear to be the repository of all information. Indeed, I am not. But of course, fellas like Stuart Young, they will pretend to be. But that's pretend. I remember, I think I gave you that already, but I think it's worth mentioning now as well. When I was in Form 3, and of course, they were bandying about, I suppose, being conditioned and brainwashed by their parents. Remember, I'm from Laventille, so I can tell you, in Form 3, my colleagues were saying, well, listen, Eric Williams is the third brightest man in the world. So when I heard that, I said, well, listen, I want to meet him. To cut a long story short, I want to meet this man since he's the third brightest man in the world. Well, they say, for what? I said to ask him one question. They asked me, well, what that question is? I said, all I want to know, since he's the third brightest man in the world, he must tell me what my mother name. I bet you that after that, all of them done this stupidness. He may be good in the area of expertise. And even in that, no matter what, once you're a human being, you can't know everything. So let's not waste time. But but clearly, I wasn't conscious, but I was part of the PNM propaganda machinery to hoodwink the people, like what they did with the Baptist community in 2015, and when they caused Robinson to lose election in 1991. That's what they will do. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Doctor.
Good night, my friend.
Yeah, good night, Trinidad, and Tobago. Good night, worldwide.
Yes.
Doctor, I just want to add a little thing on my mind, right?
Yes, no problem. Yeah.
The European them is like the wise, about the foolish. Right? That's why them must do so. You understand them? For that, the wise is above the foolish, so that's how them surviving. You understand, my brother?
It's clear when you drill, you see that they are empty, they're superficial, they make superfluous statements. There is no substance to what they're saying, but it's all designed to sensationalize. And you heard him when he started. And listen, the youths and them asking for a receipt, and the present government only in a year in office cannot show receipt. But believe that somehow we weren't around when they can't show up to today a receipt for Balize House. You gotta tell you, Balize House, they can't show a receipt for that. They can't show the receipt and the rationale for, of course, closing down Train 1. They can't tell us about how come a board could spend over $200 million to purchase, of course, as one caller said earlier, Amplia for example, and say categorically that he didn't need the approval of the cabinet, as if he is the elected representative who must, at the end of 5 years, account for those kinds of what I consider to be profligacy, waste, and mismanagement. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, doctor. So the time run out because people not stupid like before. You know, I mean, people
That I agree with. That I agree. Implicitly,
so so the three blind mice would have, which is the supporters. It boiled down to one blind mice now.
yeah. I think if you put it in that way, where each might represent a certain number of support or people, but again, if two gone and if they were shared equally, so if it's 100, if it's 300,000, at least they only have 100,000 now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. All right.
All right,
Thank you very
brother.
much. Yes, man. Yes, indeed. Well, let's go straight, of course, to that. Get back. Let's get back. Oh boy, we have to. we have calls, and that takes priority. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night to you, Lennox.
Good night. What happened yesterday, boy? What happened yesterday?
Well, you know it is be sometimes. Sometimes when I hear you were there, when you over there, I not here. You know it is be.
All right, but they say two mountains don't meet, but two Christians do, and we are Christians, so we will meet, right?
I agree with that. Sometimes good things come for those who wait, and patience is virtuous. It benefits you.
That's a good philosophical underpinning.
Those are things I learned from you over the years.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes.
It's amazing. It is amazing to me to hear Stuart Young and them speak today, Lennox Smith, and viewers of the Corridor Transformation. It's amazing. Every success that comes from the Ministry of Energy right now, Stuart Young say, is because of me. Stuart Young sit down in an administration, the oldest political party, which is the People's National Movement, for 10 years. And no success come from the Ministry of Energy, but we lose 100% energy success. Now we out of office. In 11 months' time, success coming to the Ministry of Energy. He said that he created that. What? See, you couldn't create success in 10 years. You're out of office.
When you had the office, so nothing stopping you. You have the whole apparatus of state. But now that you have lost all of that, you suddenly provided that. These are mad people.
You want credit? He want credit for that.
Yeah.
It's sad to listen to them, Lennox Smith. It's really sad. And I really, really want to say this, because I have been observing and watching activists in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and especially some of the UNC activists and them, Lennox Smith. And I sure you know me because you have been hearing me for over 28 years.
Oh yes.
On radio.
Yeah, you are stable,
man. And Lennox Smith, it is very, very, very sad. And I know better about if people vex with me because I'm an independent person. I'm a successful person. And when I speak on national radio, I speak for the voiceless. I speak for the underprivileged. I have no use to be campaigning right now. My government is in office. I don't need to fight to keep a government in power. I don't need to do that. I did that for the past 30 years for the United National Congress. And I am observing some activists and them who have privilege, who have authority, and who get opportunity. It is nice to see that. But it's ugly to see you all condemn the activists and them that asking for assistance. They're not asking to be a millionaire, but people asking to see about their family and the children. And when we can have UNC activists who get opportunity will call and send voice note and call other activists beggars, losers, you're good for nothing. What manner of activists that get opportunity will condemn activists like that? What you all doing? You all intend to run the activists on them and tell them, all right, we in office now, or you can go to hell from over here? You all not expecting the UNC activists on them right now that have children. Them are the future of the UNC. They are the future of the UNC. When you diss their parents now and say ugly things to the parents, and that not coming from the UNC, it coming from some of the greedy UNC activists and them. Take that greed from your heart, your minds, and your soul and put it into the compassion you had for the past 10 years when you all was embracing each other, hugging each other, and going all over the country for every nook and cranny and saving your $5 today and $5 tomorrow and making up a $60 and a $70 to go to a UNC political meeting. Sometimes you didn't even have money to buy a water. Why you intend to turn your back on these activists and them? I am not going to stay quiet on that. I am a UNC supporter. It have no other political party for me to support but the United National Congress. And when all you're going wrong as activists and them, somebody need to pull all you up. Somebody need to pull all you up. Because an activist is not to speak for wealth. An activist is to speak for the poor and the needy and the underprivileged, the vulnerable, the one who don't have a voice. That is what all is supposed to be doing. But condemning, criticizing, and belittling someone in time of need, that is heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. We should not tolerate that. And next thing I want to say, Lennox Smith, sorry for taking up so much of time, but I need to say this. I need to say this.
Yeah.
Lennox Smith is a UNC activist for over 35 years, I know. I want to tell some of them UNC activists and them, Lennox Smith have a program here for the past 2 years. All you leave out Lennox Smith program, all you tribal thinkers, leave out Lennox Smith program to go by our next program, who is a UNC activist, 18 months now. 18 months now he's a Professor Wall Street. 18 months now he's an activist for the UNC. And 35 years of Lennox. All you show the 18 months love. And I'm not seeing all you and the corridor transformation chat. I'm not seeing all you showing support. You know what that is to me, Lennox Smith? That is hypocrisy and ungratefulness to the highest degree. Why it is all you care flock? Not that is the right word I use there. Flock.
Yeah.
The corridor transformation and show support, just as how Lennox Smith was showing support for the past 35 years. What's wrong with you all? You turn your back. You turn your back on deceitful people. You turn your back on ungrateful people. But you don't turn your back on people who support your agenda for 35 years. What manner of people do something like that? Today I hear they calling the ground report. Activists who in position, who could call a minister, who could call a senator and say, you know this activist, there might be another little problem. Instead, only deny them. Let me represent them. Because the responsibility is to represent and not deny. They're not doing that. But they will call and send voice note and say he's a beggar. He's a nasty man. He's a this, he's a that. That should not be tolerated. And I know to a fact that not coming from the UNC. And if the Honorable Prime Minister and the executive of the UNC acknowledge what's going on, they're going to put a stop to that. They're going to put a stop to that. As a 30-year-old, 35 years, activist for the United National Congress, what I see in the elders and them activists doing, it is wrong. It is wrong, wrong, wrong. It's worse than an O. It's worse than an O. When we said the People's National Movement deny people, take away the opportunity from them, some of you activists and them, is what doing many of the UNC activists today. Because a UNC activist not supposed to bury the head in the sand. The Honorable Prime Minister said, leave them, let them speak. That is how we're going to know what they're going through. And when they speak, you condemn them, you criticize them, you belittle them, and you don't even care about the blasted children of them. You don't even care about the future of the UNC, because they are the future of the UNC. You all 65 and 70 years activists, you all are not the future of the UNC. You all are the past of the UNC. Do not belittle the future of the UNC. If you all want the UNC to go on for the next 50 years, do not belittle the future of the United National Congress. They are the future. And let me say this too. KFC, two little children, they are the future of the United National Congress. They are the future. Lennox Smith and the listeners of the Corridor Transformation, I would like to see this live going up. I would like all to call this program. I would like all to subscribe and share this program. And let us make this program a #1 program. Let us make this program a #1 program. Because this is the true UNC program. This is the true United National Congress program. Thank you, Lennox.
Thank you very much, my friend. Boy, oh boy, that was fiery. That was fiery. Long time I haven't heard a caller express themselves in that way. Of course, we have an opportunity to extrapolate and to examine and to of course, analyze. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox. I want to talk easy and quiet because I know this is something here, but I get through out. I get nothing because here what's going on. Let me. I could have said my 2 piece too because you take a cost tonight. I costed you. when the ground report started to rove and go outside, right, for the local government election.
Yes.
And Andy say he go in and go up and the old car break down. And he'll see next weekend. And he come back on the air and he said, then I'm going up there to see what it look like and have a market meeting. You see from when I start, before I started, right? So who is more a better activist? Every good day, Andy for Grandy. People call Andy, but Andy for Grandy. And the people are lobbying Grandy. Andy want to know what I call people in Grandy, in Valencia. He want to know. But you see, the nice thing, Andy for Grandy. Andy, go down in that trace, go down so, check the farmers, do so. Andy for Grandy. Andy, then here what's going on. You had to be a member of parliament. We're going to push you and start to walk every crook and cranny. Who is more activist and get just to sit down on a chair to talk holding? How Andy supposed to feel with Uncle Lennox? So Uncle Lennox and Andy, what them did? But you see, I doesn't like to go there. Because if I go there, right? People, the nice thing about it, they see who supposed to be standing in line, who really get pushed out of line, and who was benefited quietly before, right? And the jump the line, right people back, right? And that is the downfall. But you know what all this come about? I will go there. But I just ask a question. I want callers to call in. Who talking? Right? What Andy and Mr. Lennox, Uncle Lennox supposed to get? Eh? Andy for Grandy. Andy went to Grandy. Andy do the groundwork. Eh? Andy fight with his own little dollar in the pocket. Asking for little kakada here, there, and everywhere. He and Uncle Lennox. Uncle Lennox said, and here what's going on. I will stay with the people I love until with the ILO and stay and build and get the how I see the faith in them. And he said, then you go in and talk to a concrete wall and tell a concrete wall, you go, must get taller, eh? And you stay, you fight. When Mother, Her Grace, Mother Burke started out and they bring in the 3,000, they said, no, there is hope. We break in the corridor and I will stay with my people. You stay with the people like Moses. You went through the torment and you walk and gone in exile. They cuss God and give you the commandment. Serve my people. Eh? And who? They're humble. And plenty of them understand that when I say all the supporters, all the pastors drop a little dollar for Uncle Lennox. Yeah, what that means? Because they don't know. Yeah? Your little program, you run in, you get a building, yeah? As an NGO to help the people, the young, vulnerable. Every analyst, every psychologist, every economist, everybody say you need to educate the youth, give them somewhere, give them an opportunity. You make an opportunity. Like, you see, when we are blinded by our own greed, they don't see others and the real true meaning, godliness and statesmanship. And when you is the shadow of our esteemed political leader and prime minister, the most honorable Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa SC, that children is first and our education is first, and you echo the sentiment, but still something between there, they call it the witchcraft or the obia, eh? Or something that is not trickling down to your direction to promote you. I wonder if everybody understand, and then if have those who love the UNC will cuss every day, but when they hear what they're cussing, is what they hear, what they say. But up to now, I hear nobody talking about the finance minister, what he had, the speech and what he said, what is the blueprint moving forward for people empowerment. Just imagine, this different sector is opening up. How much are we rushing to it? Eh? Nobody are rushing to it. But Uncle Lennox, the talk is tonight is how you and Andy Williams is being what? Sacrificial lamb? So as I say, while the grass growing, cow starving, but you're still pulling the breast and taking the milk every day. Have a good night, Uncle Lennox.
All right. Well, of course, it's clear that we would not be able to complete that video that would have captured the press conference where Stuart Young would have, of course, expressed the greatest or the highest degree of buffoonery as far as I'm concerned. Of course, a mixture of contradictions. He's saying one thing now, then saying something different. And, of course, trying to absolve the PNM from the iniquities that the present administration would have inherited. Let's go quickly because we have to wind up this after 9:30. President, good night. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, good night.
Yes, man.
Mr. Lennox and all the
Yes.
viewers. Mr. Good night to my big brother. They with a marvelous contribution.
Oh yes, I think he was excellent. I really want to comment a few minutes on that.
You see that, brother? I'm a big brother. He's a man close to me. That's the only man never left. When I toilet and going out there, that man said, make sure I'm coming left, right, and center, and make sure I come back home.
Yeah.
Safe like Selassie briefcase. Lennox, you know I's a fighter in the camp. A minister come and worship program and tell the nation I's a soldier, I's a supporter of the UNC. But Lennox, but like people who loyal and who support the UNC, they ain't getting that representation, Lennox.
Yeah.
Is a set of fly night who not playing against UNC and eating the benefit. We must feel the pain. Look at worship program, them play like them is the best UNC. Them cost PNM for donkey years. It have a #1 caller there. She and Worship is a good friend. I remember she and Worship have it all cussing, banding. Lennox, remember for the protest. Well, I know you know, go and give me a little tip. I my little daughter, we have to run down the street, tear gas.
Yeah, boy. Yeah,
You look at the simple thing. What you think? I that man get injured. I spent 24 months in the hospital. Then me was ponging the last regime there. I go in front of our board, Lennox. When I go in front of our board, I could have faint. It's only UNC, only PNM activists. And them didn't approve that because them know I wasn't thinking. You know the politics just go.
Yes.
And look, I write on letters. I go in there. I go all over the ombudsman. I go all over the place.
I can bear witness. I have done.
Yeah, you done letters to me too.
Yeah. So I can bear witness and to reinstate a particular benefit that you were getting all the time.
Yeah.
And,
me that man, me come and beg for you and Andy, but all that man can handle all the scene. But I felt all deserve better than that because I have people who handle it fast and speed. And I'm not sure must PNM people, man. Lennox, remember that man on the ground, you know. We from the West Corridor, you know.
Of course.
When we come, babies don't cry, you know.
Yeah.
We know what's going on right now. The corridor crying out. And you as a man, it's 1,000 people be passing through by you, Lennox. You doesn't really have no kind of resources. And the little thing you have, you still get brother, drink a tea, drink a juice,
Look today,
buy a bread.
This is just a small piece. Look, I put it together, a listing over 1,000 persons we have for jobs and social welfare.
Because I know people coming by you by the 1,000, Lennox. Lennox, what's going on by Lennox, boy? We have for me, try the thing, you know, Lennox. You that man love in the community. We're not bashing the UNC, no, but here go on, Lennox. It has some of them listening certain UNC activists and using people as scapegoat, cutting out things. This nasty, wicked Kingsley. I talk in the cutting out voice note now because he blocked me for about 2 months ago, you know. When he lost the contract, he was crying, saying things we go do and we ain't gonna do. And he get back the contract now, he trying to silence me. You know what I say? Certain things people gonna say I disrespectful. Them are different African people, by.
Yeah, but what I would suggest to you is that you have to find a way to talk personally, one-on-one. Do not generate, because there are some things that may not sound palatable, may not sound nice in public, you see. You see like how you just come and talk to me and say, well, Smith so and so, and then I take a decision and I go after whosoever.
Much I could do, boy, as a man trying, boy, I don't feel, boy, I try and I go out there, boy. People road and I didn't understand that, and they hear me, you know.
Tinchy,
they hear me, you know. I doing the right thing, you know. If that Papa show thing right along the line, you know, that's a simple little thing, you know, for me to move forward, you know. You know, me mind if it was me alone, you know, me don't care, you know.
I know.
I have about 5 years
I know your
circumstance.
I understand your circumstance, my friend.
But my two daughters I have, you know. And then I'm victimizing me, you know, they're victimizing my children and them. But who God bless no man curse? I just look to and listen to Lennox.
My friend.
We are station up and thing, they might have many payroll sometimes.
We'll talk. There's some things you can't talk in public, as we just said, right? But we'll talk. All right. Yes, but people, of course, clearly, I would be able to finish that video that is attributed to Stuart Young. So let me just take it off. Yes, we'll finish tomorrow night. You know, they say where horse reach. I don't want to ascribe the situation as donkey, but I think that is the saying: where horse reach, donkey will reach. Or put another way, where the rabbit reach, well, the tortoise will reach. Maybe that might be a better analogy. But I want to say to the activists, because today I expressed on the ground report of a concern that I have been having from time immemorial. Because since I know myself, except of course going and study, I have been active in communities like this because I sincerely believe that communities like these, their true potential is either ignored or have not been realized, or that those who have the power and the resources to assist seem to be myopic, or they are benefiting, of course, from the community remaining in the quagmire and the morass that it has found itself. But, ironically, everybody is concerned when, of course, young people gravitate to gang warfare, when they home invade, when they kill people, etc. And I am saying it is counterproductive. If it is that is the community that is underserved, that is creating the problem for the society, then you have a common sense duty to say, let me focus there because I have access to the treasury. You see, I am saying so because I had cause to say today that, listen, my commitment is indivisible, is unconditional. In fact, I reiterated what I said several years ago, that I am prepared to work for free. Let me repeat. I am prepared to work for free for this administration, not the PNM, because I don't believe that they, one, deserve it, or they have a sincere bone in their being. But it's all about power and the exploitation of that for power's sake, and to, of course, line their pockets, family, friends, and acquaintances, and who they prefer and rather. So I've said that. And I said it today, and I'm saying it tonight again. I am prepared to work for free. The existential problem in the country is that of crime and criminality, young people gravitating to a life of crime. And as I mentioned this morning, and I'm going to do it again, come July this year, another 13,000 young people will leave school permanently. Added on to the 13,000 from last year, the 13,000 from the year before, and so on and so forth. It means, therefore, the potential for exacerbating and making the situation worse, particularly in this community. So going around and picking up young people who you believe, because they fit the profile, they're wearing the clothes in a particular way, they're wearing the hair in a particular way, they're probably talking in a particular way, and you just pick them up and cart them away, so to speak. But eventually you can't keep them forever, so they will be back out on the streets. And the very problem that you believe that you would have solved temporarily is exactly that. It could only be a temporary fix. And as I have advocated and continue to, so long as I didn't do it the way that I, on my own volition with some like-minded people, and make the intervention by doing this, for example, nobody is paying me for this. This is my money here. We have a community-based internet facility. We have two internet, one for this program, and the next one, the community go out there and they come close to the building or wherever, and they get internet. The fact that we set up this facility here, this empowerment center, is again another example. No government support, but is that indivisibility of commitment and dedication to people who I believe, if they get the right conditions, will respond appropriately and become exemplars, and of course the ability to move the country forward resides right there. Because I've always argued it was Laventil and East Port of Spain, etc., that gave the country its national culture: steel band, calypso, mass. Understand that when Carnival has to be launched, where you think it has come from? Right on Piccadilly Street there, Tambule, or not tambule, but cambule. Yeah. We invented the steel pan. Today, it has now evolved into being a inescapable and intrinsic part of the culture and the officialdom, if you want to call it that, of the country, because the pan is now on the money and it is in our symbol, suggesting that Trinidad and Tobago emblem, the highest respect one can give, and to demonstrate patriotism. The steel pan is there. It came from us. Quite apart, of course, from our achievements in sports, whether it be Latapi and in cricket, blacks, and all these different, what I consider to be achievers. If you do not know, on Duncan Street, Clinton Bernard, one of the Chief Justices of Trinidad and Tobago, was born right there on Duncan Street. Yes, I agree that the place has deteriorated both physically and psychologically and socially. I accept that. I also accept that there's a reason for it. Too much of the PNM neglect. They repose their trust and their confidence that they will be led correctly because they are claiming to be the African Man Party, and only to become betrayed. And how do I know that? And how could I convince anybody that that is a fact? Well, let me tell you this. At one point in time, and I will end here because we have a lot to talk about, and I want to just touch on the activists at the end of my session here. At one point in time, CIC, Fatima, QRC, dominated by the Africans, produce the best doctor, the best lawyer, African, Aeneas Wills. That doctor that, of course, started blood collection in Trinidad, I forget his name, but made a very significant, but he's African. The best occupied those hollow halls of those educational institutions. Today, I'm talking about the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the early 70s, 80s, early 80s as well, yes, early 80s you could say. But after that, things went downhill. And why? Because when one looks now at the scholarships and the academic superlatives that come out of the national grid, so to speak, all that has gone central and south. All gone central and south. When you look at the C exam at that level, you don't get any of the residents on the corridor and who would eventually go into these schools becoming on the top or in the top 100, and more so the graduates of these schools are not getting the top positions as far as scholarships are concerned. So I know, but I still know too that the potential still exists, and we have to find a way to generate what is called a renaissance, a revisiting, a re-educating, a redirecting, because along the way we have been messed up, we have been destroyed, we have been undermined, we have been polluted. And I believe that. And that is why I said today, I will work for free under this government, not under the PNM, for free. And I also mentioned, including before, in conclusion, before, of course, I refer to my good friends who I say I agree with in terms of rewards for activists and people don't want much, but there are certain statements that were made to suggest that there may be a diversion from that which we understood it to be. But let me just say that there is a situation with crime and criminality, and I am saying to them that why you want to reinvent the wheel, why you experimenting, and why suddenly there is this eureka moment, sudden burst of intelligence to people because they get our office. Whether it be minister, whether it be, of course, a board appointment, suddenly they're bright. And the man who has been working in the vineyards, the man who knows it all, comparatively speaking, because they were never around when, of course, the MLIO school was invented, that's created, and over 300 young people were attending there and graduating from a variety of skills. And between 1984 and let's say 2009 in earnest, over 6,000 young people graduated, some in the police service, in the army, of course, on the port and various industries they would have graduated to, including owning their own businesses. That is what we did on our own volition. And you don't know. In fact, the only prime minister so far to acknowledge that fact was Robinson. And he put in place everything to assist that particular program. The only difference is the PNM came in and everything was scuttled. Everything was scuttled because they're more concerned with the man who and his political affiliation as opposed to the people and the delivery thereof, because it is counterproductive, as I said, to leave the situation as it is, because you yourself will be a victim of that, what I consider to be putrid, that deterioration. And so long as they understand that, and that is why I made the assertion. Once again, I'm prepared to work for free. Just call me and I'll show you what to do in terms of young people and directing their minds. Give me a national program to deal with those young people who are engaged or have the potential to engage in crime and criminality, and even at this late stage when they would have been set in their ways, because you have a generation to protect and prevent from gravitating there. So you have, on the one hand, you have those who are not yet there that would get there over time, and you have those who are actually engaged. So there are two different programs that you have to engage in, which we have done on a micro level and on a community level without any government intervention. So, conclusion, it is on the community that the ultimate solution to crime and criminality devolves. It is not the police, it is not law enforcement. It's the people themselves. And there must be mechanism. You cannot tell me that you're giving Serval money, you're giving, of course, Rondomingo and the same ministries, but you're taking no notice of those persons who would have stayed in the community, set up little schools, set up little sporting organization, set up cultural organization, etc. And even when the money comes, they're so stupid. They then give it, of course, to those elements that are not capacity-oriented building. In other words, they give it to the bad boys and they to keep them quiet, and of course the gang. When you should, at minimum, if you're giving, give it to both. And I mentioned, I think today and yesterday, that here it is, you are a prime minister, Rowley, that has an annual charity with respect to golf. And he takes the money and give it to Vision and a Mission. I am not castigating Vision and a Mission. They have a niche. They are doing work. But I'm saying, as Prime Minister, you cannot do that, because in order for people to get help from Vision and a Mission, you have to be in jail first. You have to pass through jail first. What kind of logic is that? At minimum, give people or show by way of symbol and conduct and action that you really care and that you'll prevent the people from going into prison in the first place. And so the charity that deals, or the organization that deals with education, that deals with sports, etc., all of that will prevent people from going into prison. But you giving all your money to an organization that waits for people to come out of jail. I mean, come on. So you understand that we have a deficit of leadership, and the PNM, of course, is singularly responsible for the morass and the quagmire and the decadence and the deterioration of the circumstances generally, and more specifically in these communities. Let me say to the activists, in fact, I should say first to those who would have been given the opportunity, because it was said on the campaign trail and so on and so forth, once in government, there ought to be enough for all, because the activist is not all of Trinidad and Tobago. Everybody is not an activist. And if it came from the top, then those who would have been given the opportunity to serve and their spaces open, one expect that every single activist would have gotten some kind of opportunity, consequential of the opportunity afforded them by the political directorate or the government in office, whether it be at the level of boards, and there are about 90 of them, I believe it is, or, so therefore 90 by at least 12 persons. You can't tell me that persons who are known to be activists, that they have to be talking in the way that they are talking today. No, that is wrong. That cannot be. Because they would be given the awesome responsibility as well to serve the general public who may or may not be politically attached or gravitating. But you need every hand on deck, especially in these critical situations. So I share what he's called, they call him COP sometimes. I share that view. I share, of course, that of the Joy son. And I hope that people do not see it as though it is some attempt at self-ingratiation or trying to appease somebody, that because somebody talk out, that you are going to coalesce and you're going to victimize, or you're going to say, well, this is wrong and therefore nothing for you. I think the opposite should be the case. Hey, you're talking out because you're griping, pain, and of course, that is being expressed. So what you do, you call them and you say, listen, what is the problem? Would this be good for you? Yes, we have had a situation where the same person who called tonight, they call him for a job at NCC, and he said, well, listen, that wouldn't suit me because I can't reach there for a particular time. That does not mean that the person didn't want the job. It doesn't mean either. And let me put another way. What it means is that his circumstance, transportation, the distance from where he has to come from, open and so on, would not have made it possible. So that the provider of the opportunity must take those factors into consideration in providing something. And it cannot be said that I give him something and he look, he don't want it because, look, if he go find himself, he has to find himself there for 7 o'clock in the morning, when of course you know that it is a tremendous pain on our mornings to come into Port of Spain, whether you're taking public transport or your own transport on a morning, whether you're coming from Shogona side or San Fernando, or you're coming from the east. So I would have expected people to be much more reasonable and proportional in terms of their, or proportionate in terms of how they treat with people like these. If I had my way, I give him a job already. I have been promised. But my commitment and my circumstance may be different. I could still make $1. So that is why I reiterate that I will work for free for this government, not any other. but I want the opportunity. Because clearly, a whole year, and the crime situation, and the young people, and all of that, and the intervention on the East-West Corridor has not worked. Let's not waste time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the avalanche that we are having today, and the potential for generating the anathema against the present administration, when in fact you have resource people at your disposal. You call me tomorrow, I'm willing to work. I think I showed you the 1,000-page document that I presented to Rowley, and he never returned even a letter. Of course, that was a different situation with Manning. He acknowledged, and of course, that with the present Prime Minister, who is now, of course, who was then in the opposition. So we have a relationship. But I believe that a year and a half, things should start to gel, having regard to all of the circumstances, economic, financial, of course, and other factors that we don't have control of, such as the war in Ukraine and that in the Middle East, would bring benefits to Trinidad and Tobago. But as I said, there is a counter scenario, because the PNM closed down the oil refinery. We have to pay for our energy, and that might gobble up some of the gains made as far as the production of a barrel of oil is concerned in Trinidad. But if we can actually produce more oil, more barrels of oil, more gas, etc., as we are seeing that is potentially realistic, having regard to the change circumstance, Venezuela, of course, and all of those licenses that are now freely available, and of course the coming in of Exxon and Chevron into the Trinidad and Tobago energy space, so to speak. I think we have a wonderful future. But of course, policies, programs, attitude. But I sincerely believe that the activists should be given an opportunity, so they in turn can, of course, assist those persons who may not be activists and therefore not connected and don't feel obligated, as some would have when they would have, of course, hitched their wagons to, of course, the UNC and the coalition of interest. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report. Andy and myself, yes, we'll have these and other issues. And tomorrow, of course, we'll finish up, of course, Stuart Young's madness in terms of his contradiction and the inability to stay one place, but seem to be like a moving target, you know, as far as I'm concerned. He's a moving target from the point of view that you could criticize him here, there, everywhere. And of course, he don't mind, because the amount of nonsense that he's speaking and the contradictions that he would have projected tells one that he's either insane or is in a state of what I consider to be cognitive and intellectual and cerebral decline. Why? Because they're greedy for power. As we said, of course, we are a bit dynamic these days, so we're not going to go back to the old-time calypsos and so on, but we're going to be at least to attract those young people. So this is one piece that I think would meet that standard.